Hi guys, my name is Rose and welcome back to Balling on a Budget. So today we're going to be looking at some of the top rated personal finance apps and see how much they help me on my quest to actually stick to my budget in a month. We've got 3 apps and they are Cleo, Squirrel and Monzo. We're going to be judging these apps on 4 factors. 1, how much did they actually help me keep to my budget? 2, how long did it take to set up and get registered? 3, what are the benefits the app provided? And 4, what were some of the challenges and issues? So let's get straight into it. First up is Monzo. What is Monzo? But to me, Monzo is a card that helps you keep track of where your money's at. It gives you frequent notifications of how much you've spent, how much you have left, and how quickly you've been spending that month. Monzo is a full-on bank account and card, a different type of digital-only bank. So first of all, how much did it actually help me kind of keep to my budget? I would say it did an alright job. So maybe like 3 out of 5, 3.5 out of 5. The constant balance updates were obviously helpful because I had it in the front of my mind. Okay, this is how much I have left. Also, you get to see the breakdown of what your spending was in different categories. It told me when it thought I was spending too quickly, which I guess, you know, is somewhat useful. But for example, at the beginning of the month, it was just an annoying notification because I'm like, of course, at the beginning of the month, I'm going to be spending loads because I'm paying all my bills. The only kind of downside is that you can't set like limits for yourself or daily limits of how much you want to spend. The second factor is how quick was registration set up. For me, it was super quick. I think when I originally signed up for just a top-up card, it took about 2-3 minutes. I got a golden ticket from my friend Shani. Hey Shani. It meant that I could skip the queues and just get registered straight away. So overall, a very quick and speedy registration process. One of the biggest benefits of Monzo for me is that it doesn't charge you any fees when you're going abroad. Also, it does this really helpful feature that when you do spend abroad on your card, it straight away tells you approximately how much that is in your local currency. Another really good feature that I enjoyed is that you can freeze your card if you've lost it. This was so helpful for me because I literally lose my card in one of my many bags all the time, and I'm not always sure if I've actually lost it or just misplaced it. So moving on to some of the challenges and issues with Monzo. About a year ago, or maybe a bit less, Monzo used to have the occasional card outage where basically you wouldn't be able to use your card in shops or to get out money. And when that's your primary account, like, that's an issue. And for me, it's something that kind of made me not trust it all the way. So, you know, these features are great, but for me, they weren't that exciting because my current high street bank offers a lot of these features already. So overall, I do like Monzo, and I think it has its benefits. I really like the notifications, but you know, it's just lacking in some areas for me in terms of more preventative action. So overall, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. Alrighty then, moving on to Cleo. So Cleo is a virtual money assistant that runs off of Facebook Messenger. It uses artificial intelligence to analyze your spending and come up with ways of how you can cut back and just get you more acquainted with what you're spending your money on. Cleo gives you a one view of all your different bank accounts and credit cards, and encourages you to assign every single purchase you make to an expense category. Did it help me get to where I wanted to be budget-wise at the end of the month? Yes, it did. So by making you or prompting you to assign every single expense to a category, it kind of let me know as the month went on, you know, am I reaching my spending limits in certain areas. Cleo also does really great notifications whenever you get paid, and it sends you a meme as well, which is quite cute. and also whenever you get returns from shops. I'm setting up with Cleo. Probably took me about an hour and a half to 2 hours. One, just linking all my various accounts. Some of them took a while to verify and I had to do them more than once, which extended the time a bit. Also, because it makes you assign things to each different category, I had to create a lot of custom categories for myself. The fact that it's run off Messenger actually is really helpful as well, because you can just ask Cleo any question. So you can be like, hey Cleo, what's my balance right now? What was the last thing I spent on? How much have I spent in this category? And it will do its best to answer you, though the responses at the moment are kind of limited. But the good thing with AI technology is that the more you talk to it and the more people that use it, the better its responses will be, and the wider a range of questions it will be able to answer. Another thing about Cleo that I liked, which some of the other apps didn't do, was rather than following calendar months, it allowed you to follow your payday months. Some of the downsides to Cleo, I mentioned you can create your own custom categories. The issue here is that you cannot delete or edit them. One of my biggest gripes with this app is that a lot of my expense information was coming in a day or two late. So even when I'd ask my balance, I wasn't really able to rely on that and would have to go back to the individual banking and card apps anyways. So overall, I'd give Cleo a 3.5. I think the whole running off Facebook Messenger is something that I like. I know a lot of people were like, had security concerns around that, and that's, you know, very valid. And it does a lot. It does budgeting, it does saving, but it definitely does have a long way to go. So last but not least, well maybe least, we don't know, is Squirrel. Squirrel is an automatic budgeting app. So if you know your bills come out a certain day of the month, it will only put in the money a day or two beforehand so that you're not tempted to spend it. And the point is that only giving you little bits of a time and, you know, spacing your money out over the month, you tend not to overspend. How did it help me stick to my budget? I guess it did help in terms of I didn't have that struggle week at the end of the month. I actually had way more money than I needed right until the very end of the month and even into the month after, actually. Quick note about setup. How long did it take to register and get started? About 30 minutes. It is a full-on bank account, so it may or may not affect your credit score. So I'm gonna do the challenges for this one first, just because there were just so many. So Squirrel recommends that you pay your entire salary in at the beginning of the month, and, you know, trying to make this a fair and equal experiment. I was like, cool, gonna follow your recommendations. And I told Squirrel, hey, I've got bills coming out on the 1st, and they were like, cool, there's no worries, we'll automatically pay all your bill money into your main account on the 1st. And then when I saw the payment schedule, it's like, oh, we're not putting anything into your account until the 3rd of April. And I was just like, sorry, what? So that was a really big knock of confidence to me. What they didn't tell me is that if you pay your money in on the weekend, it can sometimes take up to 3 days for you to get that money. So the second biggest challenge for me is that when you ask Squirrel to pay you on a weekly basis, or, you know, in dribs and drabs, it makes it a minimum of 5 payments in a month, and it gives you equal amounts each time. And that was a bit of a challenge for me because my expenses aren't consistent throughout the month. A majority of my expenses come in the first week. Also, if you want to withdraw money not in your savings, you have to message them directly, which is a bit meh. And they work really short hours. So they only work 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday. And those are the only times that you can request to withdraw your money. So to the benefits, when it comes down to it, did it help me stop overspending? Yes, because I literally didn't have the money I need when I needed it. I think if spacing your money out throughout the month is a real challenge for you, then this is it. And if you have an issue with kind of like dipping into your savings, this is something which I think is useful in terms of that it really does stop you from overspending. There's no option to overspend. Overall, I think I will have to give Squirrel a 2.5 stars out of 5. So let's do a quick summary. Let's wrap it up. Let's be real, all of them had their shortcomings. They're all fintech startups, so they're not going to be perfect, and you have to really take all their products with a pinch of salt. That being said, however, the main reason I wanted these apps was to see how well I was tracking against my budget, and to help me be able to kind of have a more consistent spending approach. And though I think they all attempted to solve those problems in different ways, I would have to say that Cleo, for me, really did the best job. Cleo is the winner. Woo! Yes. In reality, I think I'm gonna do a mix or hybrid of all of them, or 2 of those apps. Definitely will be keeping my Monzo, if not alone, just for the notifications and the kind of travel benefits. Cleo, obviously, because I do love those quizzes, dang it, and the memes. They get me. Like, Cleo is low-key like a ride or die friend. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative. I hope it's helpful. If you guys have tried it out, any of these apps, and have kind of anything else that people should be aware of, please leave it in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you want to be inducted into the Balling on a Budget family, hit that subscribe button below. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.